Free money? You free money? Anyone? That's what we're going to be talking about in today's episode as I share some of the areas that you can look at in your practice in order to find hidden revenue. Let's jump in.
Welcome to the Business of Hearing podcast, the #1 marketing and practice growth podcast for high-performing private practice hearing care leaders. My name's Ollie Luke. Pull up a chair, pour yourself a drink, and let's have a chat.
All right, welcome along to another episode of the Business of Hearing podcast. And today we're talking money. As business owners, we get so locked into the way that we do things, right? And I'm not sure if you've ever looked at somebody else's business and gone, why are they doing it that way? Surely that could be different. Why are you not charging for that? Why is that price like that? And I feel like I've had that advantage coming into this industry with fresh eyes and external views that haven't been built on here's the way it's always been done. And there's a few things that I find very interesting about our industry that I'll raise in this episode. And really, I want to fundamentally bring it back to where is there money hiding right now in your organization? Now, first place I want to start is a bit of a mismatch that happens. Now, I don't know if you've ever experienced this, but have you ever gone into a restaurant that felt super, super premium? You're like, oh, this is nice. The waiter comes over with his hand behind his back. Like all of a sudden, your expectation of what you're going to pay shoots up there. If it's lower than that, it's like, oh, wow, this is a weird mismatch. This doesn't make sense. And I think it's very much the same in your practice. And what has been very interesting with the practices that we work with is when we fix their brand story, make them look like the business they want to grow into, it becomes a lot easier to increase prices and find extra money. The experience is better. People are willing to spend more. So I think just zooming out a little bit, just ensuring that what you look like, what you're perceived as matches your pricing is a key one. But there's a couple of areas that I'd be looking at from a extra money perspective right now that I want to double down on. The first one is hearing tests. Now, for some reason, as an industry, too many practices do not charge for a hearing test. Free hearing tests have become the norm. Why is that the case? I think a number of things. Number one, it's kind of always been done that way, therefore let's do it. Number two, our competitors do it, therefore if we don't do it, it's a disadvantage. And number three is it's comfortable, people won't pay for it, etc. And I want to dispute all of them because I don't believe it's the case. My view is if something's free, people know there's a reason for it. If you're invited for a free meal, you're not having a comfortable meal. You're sat there trying to find the catch, waiting for the upsell. If somebody invites you for a free dinner, you know it's not a free dinner. And it's the same, right? When you charge for a free hearing test, firstly, the value of that hearing test is diminished, which means that when you sit with a patient and say, hey, here's how you can move forward working with us, our time is really valuable, you've already made that confusing. You've clearly proven your time isn't valuable. To then try and say it is confusing. Number two, for an industry that's built on trust, it's a quick way to burn trust. When we invite people in for free, with people knowing there's a catch, it's awkward, it's weird, it's bait and switch. It just doesn't make any sense. And if we look at some of the competitors that charge nothing for hearing tests, they're often the Goliaths, right? They're often looking for the mass market, not the niche markets like us. They can. And dare I say, you charging for a hearing test is actually the easiest point of difference that you can make over all of them. If everybody else is free and you're $60, $100, $150, whatever it may be, when people assess the options, instantly the perceived value of what you're offering is greater. People do prefer to pay and know what they're getting rather than this come for free and there may be a little secret at the end if we think we can upsell you to something. It's awkward and it's weird. And play your appointments out. How many appointments are you doing on an annual basis? How many hearing evals? Slap $100 on each of them and just run some quick maths. Are you sat on $25,000, $50,000 that is currently not being collected? Because keep in mind, it's pure profit. It's work you're doing now that you're not being paid for, and it's work that you'll then be paid for. Easy money, pay for whatever you want with that. It's your direct profit on your bottom line. But I'd be giving key focus on that. If you currently don't charge for hearing tests, how often do you get the question of how much are your hearing tests? And then you answer with they're free. Oh, right. People are expecting to pay. Nobody's expecting anything for free. When it is free, it becomes a little weird. And just because it's the way it's always been done, please don't make it the way it's always going to be done. It's not right. Would you go for a free dental checkup? You'll know that at some point with the dentist's hand in your mouth, something's going to be upsold to you. It's uncomfortable. If you're a trustworthy brand that's playing the long game, get paid for what you're doing with the value that it's worth and make it work. So that is first place I'd be looking for free free money. The second one, this is the big one and practical to absolutely everybody. And this is understanding how you can leverage the psychological weight of buying decisions. Because not every buying decision is created equally. The way, in many cases, that we look at buying decisions is rather than calculating prices to the last dollars, we weigh and play in thresholds. So for example, anything up to $100 is a casual purchase in many aspects. Like, you look at it, but the difference between 80 and 20 is big, right? And it's you weight it as a casual. I can probably afford it. I don't have to go and do some thinking about it. I don't have to do my research on it. I'm comfortable to spend that money today. Between the $100 to $500, you have the let me think about it. It's not an immediate decision. It needs a little bit of moment and time. Between $500 to $2,000, this starts to feel like a commitment. It's something that isn't impulsive. It's something that you're going to do a bit of research and take a little bit of time on. The $2,000 to $5,000 area feels like you're in the investment territory. It's, okay, I want to do research. I'm not going to rush into this. I want to understand my options. I don't want to be making a bad decision at this time. And then beyond $5,000, the buyer is pretty much engaged, which means they're weighing value, trust, and transformation. They're not so much counting the pennies of that decision. It's now into the emotional heartstring pulls that make up that buying decision, which means that if we break it down and look at where our treatment plans, our hearing aids usually sit, it's often in that phase where trust, transformation, and outcome start to make more of a difference than the specific dollars. Now, what does this mean very, very practically? Well, it means we have a lot more leeway with a few of those dollars than we may think. So let's play it out this way. If your premium plan right now is $6,990, if we look from a psychological perspective of how a patient looks at that, what do? They go, that's a $7,000 decision. Okay, that's something I need to think about, sit on. They know it's a significant investment for them. If that price was no longer $69.90, but now it was $72.20, what would happen? What would happen to the weight of that buying decision? Would it fundamentally change? It wouldn't. In the mind, it's okay, that's just around $7,000. It's just over $7,000 buying decision. The actual weight of the buying decision doesn't change too much, but you can collect an extra $230 for that transaction. And I would take a guess now, if you did the stats and you really tested this, the number of patients that say a firm yes to $69.90 and a firm no to $72.20, it's not that many. 1, 2 out of every 100 at the very most. My voice is going. It's not a huge amount. And if you can be collecting an extra $230 per transaction over those 100 transactions, then dare I say, that makes a lot more sense, right? When you're collecting an extra, $23,000 over those transactions, that is extra profit in your pocket. And once again, we're looking at where is the hidden profit, where is the hidden money that can go straight out of your business into your pocket here. That is where you can start to play. And play in the tens, play in the hundreds, and know there's changes that you can make where you can change the decision from a financials perspective, but not so much change the psychological weight, which means you get the same number of yeses in and around, and all of a sudden you can start growing your margin in those areas. But understanding those buckets very much exist, and knowing anything over the $5,000 mark, people are making decisions in different ways. It's not so much counting pennies to the nth degree. There's different weights that come into it. Trust, outcome, etc. are big ones. The transformation is a big one. But when you can start to understand how people make decisions, usually rounding up to the nearest 1,000 or 500 at that stage, that's where you can just start to tweak numbers in ways that give you a significantly more money in some aspects, especially from a profitability perspective, but without fundamentally changing the weight of that buying decision. So if I was looking at some of the easy areas right now where there's free money knocking around in businesses like yours, they're definitely two of the biggest. If I need to give you a third, it's an obvious one, but not many practices give it enough attention, and that is the gold mine that exists in database. Have a look how many patients that are 4+ years since they upgraded hearing technology or last bought technology. It's probably a big group. And if it's a big group, What are you going to do with that group? How are you going to bring them towards an appointment? How are you going to get them to ensure that when they do move forward, it's with you? Or how do you prioritize their decision in their mind that they're more likely to move ahead with treatment at a sooner stage rather than a later stage? Like, that is one I'd be giving attention to. And there's 101 ways you can get somebody to upgrade hearing technology. It's not always new technology. Sometimes it needs to become a little bit more creative, whether it's trade-ins, where the trade-in goes on to do some good in the world, and now you're pulling on the emotional heartstrings, not just the logical ones, whether it's giving patient an opportunity to test something new over the course of a weekend, whether it's bring them in for a deep clean on their devices and fit them with something new in the meantime and send them off for a coffee while their existing devices go through a deep clean. You do have to think a little creatively on some of this, not just send the same mailer for the 6th time that's been written by a manufacturer to let them know they should consider upgrading to new technology. But that's usually where the lowest hanging fruit is, where the extra money is. And these are the areas to get obsessive over. Because if you can find this extra money, it quickly adds up to being a fair amount of extra money that you can put in your pocket at the end of the year or reinvest in parts of the business for further growth. But hopefully that's helpful. Of course, the title of free money is very elusive. Hopefully it's given you some areas to consider, ponder, and think about. And as always, with these episodes, if you've got any questions, need any help, drop a message, a comment below. I'll get back to every single comment, or reach out if you've got a topic you'd love to cover in more detail. But appreciate your time greatly, and I'll be back again very soon with another episode.
And there we have it. Another episode has come to an end, and I have a quick favour to ask. If you have found this helpful, then who do you know who should listen to this podcast? I strongly believe a rising tide lifts all boats, and right now, private practice needs to stick together to fight these big, gormless groups and these manufacturer-owned Goliaths that are looking to take market share from us. Consider who should be listening, pass on the word about the Business of Hearing podcast, and I'll see you again next week.